G'day everyone, welcome back to the shed. As you can probably hear, we've got a bit of a thunderstorm going on, but we're getting back to making some parts on the lathe for the roller. This here is one of the shafts that goes inside the differential which support the spider gears or planetary gears, these things here. I've shown these before. This is the old shaft. We have two in total. They've got to have a square milled on the end. They've got a thread, a step down at the end. They're also centered in the end as well on both ends, and it's got a flat spot here to try and get some lubrication on there, or help get lubrication down there. So as I've mentioned before, I've decided to make two new ones. I've made one, essentially I've stuffed up one. These things happen, so it can go on the junk pile or the spare, and we'll use it for something else. So I've already machined the one in the lathe, which we'll go and have a look at. It's just there. You can see the end of it poking out. And I've already machined this end, done that. So I faced it, put a centre in, put the little chamfer on here, taken the burrs off, taken the sharp edges off. I've spun it around, and now I've got to face it down to length. I've got about 10 mil to come off on the lathe, and which is a fair bit, but anyway. We'll do a bit of that, and I'll show you just facing that off, and then I'll come back in another step. Right, so I've got the camera mounted now, and hopefully it's going to stay there. A bit of an awkward position. So we're just going to take a facing cut off the steel. I've got 10mm to take off. We're not going to show you all of that. I'll show you what happens, and then we'll come back. So that's facing cut. I'm taking a 1mm depth of cut. Normally with the facing cut you take a lot less to get the end result. I'm trying to get the material off as quick as possible. I'll do that off camera, and we'll come back and have a chat about the next step. Those of you looking for a little tip on putting a piece of material in and getting it into a particular place, especially if you're machining down to a size or a length. I've left the carriage and the cross slide pretty well in the same place as I left it, and so all I'm going to do now is I've put the piece in the chuck, and I'll just pull it out till it touches the cutting tip, tighten the chuck up, and then I can go back to where I was before, and everything's in line. You can use this same process if you're doing a number of parts, say up to 10 on the manual lathe, to accurately and quickly turn out the parts required. So I've just measured it. We've got another 1.5mm to take. So we'll do this all on camera. I've mentioned this before. This is what they call a lathe file. It's the cutting edges are only in one direction, and the idea is that when you machine a piece like this, there's always a bit of a burr, so you run the lathe file over it like so, just to break the edge, take the corner off, saves your hand or your fingers getting cut, and if somebody else picks it up, you know, it saves them getting cut too. So you always got to think about, you know, if you're working in your shed, do stuff like that, or think about the next person coming behind you. So the next little thing is we'll put a centre, which is a very small hole in the end of the workpiece here, and that's so I could get a live centre, which I'll show you in a second. We'll just do this. There we have our centre. It's just a very small hole in the end. In fact, I'll zoom in. Yep. And I'll have to move the camera. That's going to be dangerous. I'll go back out and I'll just take the camera. There we go. So we've got a nice centre. So what that allows us to do is support the workpiece when it sticks out from the chuck. Generally speaking, when you're doing machining process, depending on the size of the material, size of the lathe and all that sort of stuff, but generally speaking, you don't want it sticking out any more than, say, 50 mils a good figure. You can go a little bit further out, say 75 if you've got thicker material like this. However, the further you go out, you're going to need some support at the end. And we do that with this little tool. Oh, as soon as I get the right draw. Nope. Just goes to show you how long since I've been in my drawers. Trying to find the right, maybe I didn't go down far enough. Let's go down here. Here we go. That's the one I want. Here's the one I prepared earlier. Right. Forgive the wobbles, I'm doing this all with one hand. So this thing here is called a live centre, and it spins. There is an actual thing called a dead centre. It's just a piece of steel that goes in the tailstock here. It does the same thing, but if you're going to be using a dead centre, you're going to be doing lower revolutions, lower RPM. Right, so I'm just putting the key in the chuck, and I'm going to have to put the camera down over here somewhere. Right, so the next step we're going to do in this process, but it'll be in another video, is this here. So we'll do this piece, oops, do this piece here and the thread. And I'll just measure that quickly. So that's going to be sticking out roughly, we'll bring that out 100 millimetres from the chuck. Right, so we go back over to the lathe. I've brought this out 100 millimetres. It's just a little bit over. I could actually do this next process without the tailstock in, but just for safe measure, we'll put the tailstock in there like so. Right. Now there's two levers on here. They both work on a cam. This one here pulls a plate up from underneath and locks this in place. And I'll turn the wheel and put some pressure on that, so that's pushing up against there, and that one there locks onto the shaft here. So the only drawback with this lathe with the digital readout, underneath that aluminium plate is a digital readout. It stops me going back as far as I could. So I have to compensate by moving the compound slide here back, so I can do this next process. It's not a disadvantage, it's just, it is just the way it is. For what I do here, it's fine. So we'll do, in the next video, we'll do the next two steps. We're going to machine it down to size, and we're going to put a thread on it, so there'll be machining down to size and the thread cutting. We'll do that in another video. Thanks everyone for watching this video. If you have, like and subscribe, share it around. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, it's free. Don't forget, we do a live stream Tuesday night, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That's about 7:30 at night, and you can see what we get up to here in the shed, or we talk about what we've done. There's a few things going on the home front, as well as working on the steamroller here. That's parts of the steamroller there, and more parts over there. It's in a million parts. So anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a good night, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.